All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. All the participants and students who are outside, please come and take their seats. Mic test. Is it good? Mic test. Is it good? Mic test. Is it good? The best way to predict the future is to create it. Respected chief guest, esteemed guest of honor, dignitaries, teachers, delegates, all my fellow students present here, and many alumni and participants watching us live. Assalamu alaikum and a very pleasant morning to all. I am Ghazala Zamir, student of MCA first year, blessed to be here as the compere of day 1 of our conference. Please accept our warmest welcome to the inaugural session of the first ever International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence 2023, being organized by the Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim University. We are so excited. Let's explore the possibilities of our success together. I first of all would like to invite our honorable chief guest, Professor Wasim Ahmed, the Director of Academic Programs Committee, AMU, to please come and join us on stage. Wasim Ahmed, the Director of Academic Programs Committee, AMU, to please come and join us on stage. Now, please join me in welcoming on stage our guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg from the Department of Electronics Engineering, Aligarh Muslim University. Our guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg from the Department of Electronics Engineering, Aligarh Muslim University. Now I request our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, the professor at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, to please come and join us on stage. Abdul Qayyum Ansari, the professor at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, to please come and join us on stage. Now, I would like to invite on stage the architect of our success today, the convener of our conference, Professor Asim Zafar, to please come and join us on stage. At last, I request Dr. Arman Rasool Faridi, one of the most motivational personalities of our department, to please come and join us on stage. Now I would request Laiba Javed to please come and present the bouquet to our chief guest, Professor Wasim Ahmed. Now I would request Laiba Javed to please come and present the bouquet to our chief guest, Professor Wasim Ahmed. Thank you, Laiba. Now I request Aris Aftab to please come and present the bouquet to our guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg. Thank you, Aris. I request Abiha Hassan to please come and present the bouquet to our guest speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari. Thank you, Abiha. I request Danish Ilyas to please present the bouquet to our convener, Professor Asim Zafar. Thank you so much, Danish. Now I request Ilma Khan to please come and present the bouquet to our organizing chair, Dr. Arman Rasool Faridi. Thank you, Ilma. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to open this important session, and I thank each and every one of you for taking out the time to be here with us today. And now, to create the sense of unity and to remind the higher purpose of our conference, let's start the day with the name of Allah. And for that, I would like to invite Qari Muhammad Arif Haqqi Sahab for the recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. صدق الله العظيم. कुरान मजीद की सूरह बकरा की ये आयत नंबर 164 है। अल्लाह ताला ने इसमें इरशाद फरमाया है कि बेशक आसमानों और ज़मीन की तख्लीक़ में और रात दिन की गर्दिश में और उन जहाज़ों और कश्तियों में जो समंदर में लोगों को नफ़ा पहुँचाने वाली चीज़ें उठाकर चलती हैं, और उस बारिश के पानी में जिसे अल्लाह ताला की तरफ से उतरता है, फिर उसके ज़रिए से ज़मीन को मुर्दा हो जाने के बाद ज़िंदा करता है, वो ज़मीन जिसमें उसने हर किस्म के जानवर फैला दिए हैं, और हवाओं के रुख बदलने में और उस बादल में जो आसमान और ज़मीन के दरमियान हुक्म इलाही का पाबंद होकर चलता है, इन तमाम चीज़ों में अक्लमंदों के लिए कुदरत इलाही की बहुत सारी निशानियाँ हैं। जज़ाकल्लाह।
Thank you, Qari Arif Sahab, for the beautiful recitation and translation for the audience. Now, it will be an honor to hear the voice of our convener, so I would request Professor Asim Zafar, the chairperson of our department, to please come and present the welcome address.
Respected Professor Wasim Ahmad Sahab, Professor A.Q. Ansari Sahab, Professor Mirza Salim Beg Sahab, Dr. Arman Rasool Faridi Sahab, Ms. Ghazala Zamir, distinguished guests, delegates, participants, research scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen, and all those who have joined us virtually and watching this event live. Assalamu alaikum, and wish you all a very good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural session of the International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence. On behalf of the organizing committee of this conference, I would like to extend a hearty greetings to all our distinguished guests, delegates, and participants who have traveled to Aligarh to be with us today. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to those who are joining us virtually through YouTube Live. In tandem with today's reality, we have purposefully provisioned online participation so that the academicians, researchers, and industry experts across the globe could participate in this event. And I am very happy that your participation in this conference, despite geographical barriers, demonstrates your commitment and your desire to stay informed and connected. At the very outset of the event, I feel honored and privileged to welcome the chief guest of this event, Professor Wasim Ahmad. Professor Wasim Ahmad Sahab is presently working as Director, Academic Programs Committee, Aligarh Muslim University. He is former chairperson of the Department of Zoology and former Dean, Faculty of Life Science, Aligarh Muslim University. He has more than 40 years of experience in academics, research, and administration. He is an internationally acclaimed scientist and is a widely traveled person. Professor Ahmad is recipient of Young Scientist Award, E.K. Janki Ammal National Award, the Vigyan Ratna Award, S.P. Gupta Gold Medal Award of Geological Society of India, and the Recognition Award of the National Academy of Agriculture Sciences, Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. He has also been awarded DSc, highest and rare academic distinction from Aligarh Muslim University. He is the editor and reviewer of many reputed international journals. He has more than 200 quality publications in his respective field. I warmly welcome you, sir. I feel extremely glad to welcome our guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg. Professor Beg is presently working as professor in the Department of Electronics Engineering, Aligarh Muslim University, and chairman of Ranking Committee of AMU. Under his leadership, AMU has continuously improved its world ranking, and the visibility of our university has increased significantly. His academic and research interest lies in the area of mobile communication, wireless network, 4G and 5G communication, multimedia communications, computer networks, and consumer electronics. I am sure your presence will prove to be very fruitful and informative for all the members participating in this conference. A hearty welcome to you, sir. It is indeed a special privilege and pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari. Ansari Sahab is presently working as professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. His research contributions are in the area of high performance power semiconductor devices, bioinstrumentation, EBG structures and patch antennas, fuzzy logic, and neutron logic. He has been recognized as Margdarshak by the AICTE under the Margdarshan initiative. He is a senior member of IEEE, presently serving as the executive vice chairman of IEEE Delhi section, and many other bodies. He is the recipient of the Raja Ram Bapu Patil National Award for Promising Engineer Teachers for creative work done in technical education. That is awarded by the Indian Society for Technical Education, New Delhi. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. The advancement of computer technology has had a profound impact on society, bringing many benefits that have revolutionized the way we live and work. Increased productivity, greater communication, information access, improved healthcare, scientific and engineering innovation, and the convenience are some of the primary benefits. Computer technology's fast growth continues to deliver new advantage to the society, and this trend is expected to continue in future. This conference brings together leading experts, researchers, and scientists in the field of computational intelligence to share their knowledge and express ideas on the latest development and trends in this rapidly evolving world. The International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence is intended for researchers around the globe working in the area of optimization, artificial intelligence, computational intelligence, machine learning, federated learning, evolutionary computation, cybersecurity, fuzzy logic, signal processing, theory and its method, blockchain, cloud computing, fog computing, Internet of Things, and many other related fields. We at the Department of Computer Science strongly believe in quality above the quantity, and we are thrilled to host such a remarkable collection of keynote speakers, researchers, and panelists who will share insight into the future of computational intelligence and its potential to alter the world in which we live. We will have the chance to hear cutting-edge research, network with peers, and participate in thought-provoking conversations throughout the following 2 days. I feel privileged in welcoming with much delight the distinguished group of industry executives and specialists who will share their idea and opinions on the most recent breakthrough in computational intelligence. I welcome them all, and we are convinced that this session will be a wonderful forum for exchanging ideas, discovering new research routes, and networking with colleagues in this area. Your suggestion will surely help influence the future of this intriguing and continuously changing profession. We hope that the 2 days here at this conference will provide a unique platform for attendees to broaden their horizons, learn from each other, and foster new collaborations that can drive the field forward. We have in all 15 sessions, including 10 technical sessions, 1 session on industry talk, and 2 plenary sessions. We are confident that this will be a truly memorable and productive experience for all those who are participating to this event. I will be your host for this conference, and once again, it is my pleasure to welcome you all. Thank you.
So much for addressing the audience with your valuable words, sir. We are so blessed to have such great personalities with us today. And one of those is our esteemed guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg, who has completed his BSc Engineering Honours from AMU Aligarh and Masters in Communication Engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He was awarded prestigious Commonwealth Scholarship for doing research at Loughborough University, England, from where he obtained his PhD for research in the area of digital communications over mobile channels. Sir, we will be grateful to you if you could please come and share your insights with us.
Professor Wasim Ahmed, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, Professor Asim Zafar, Dr. Arman Rasool Faridi, guests, delegates and participants to this conference, staff and students, ladies and gentlemen. I sound different today. But at the outset, let me start by thanking the entire organizing committee, led by our chairperson of the department and the conference chair, Arman Rasool Faridi Sahab. And I'm extremely happy to be here because we all in AMU are fairly proud of the fact that we have in our fold this Department of Computer Science, particularly because it's one of the pioneering departments formed more than 50 years ago in being one of the first such establishments in the whole of North India. They started their activities with, I remember, IBM 1130 initially, and then followed it up with VAX 11780, I think, which they acquired from Digital Equipment Corporation, USA. And since then, they haven't looked back. The way they have been active in research and teaching activities is something that we are all proud of. And just 2 years back, they started a new course on MSc in cybersecurity and digital forensics, which itself is a very new and challenging field. And to keep pace with such fast-moving developments in the field of computer science in general and artificial intelligence in particular is no mean task. And that's the reason why, as you probably might have heard about, the Times Higher Education UK in its 2023 World University Rankings by subject, they have ranked AMU in only 7 subjects, but computer science happens to be one of them. The credit obviously goes to all its staff, all its students, and the entire leadership handled by its dynamic chairperson. And it continues to do well in organizing important events such as this, which is not easy. To organize a conference of this scale and this versatility, to get speakers from outside, both online and offline, is not as simple as it appears. To get crowd in the morning is equally difficult. We'll obviously be listening to the keynote speech in the morning session, followed by the plenary session and so many other speakers. We don't want to waste time with other details, except that I would like to say that the field of AI has also moved leaps and bounds. We used to have just simple Hamming network and Hopfield network in the 80s, but we have now moved on to machine learning, deep learning, emerging computational intelligence techniques, and with these, the AI field seems to have turned a corner. They have definitely turned a corner. It's for all of us to see and believe. You must have heard about things like ChatGPT, which has come just a week before, which is causing heads to turn, and we all have to take notice of that. And I'm sure there'll be discussions on that in the sessions to follow. And with increasing power of computers in the coming months and years, the field of computational intelligence can only grow more powerful, and it will certainly have applications practically in all walks of life. It already has applications in things like decision making and pattern classification and speech recognition and so on, not to talk of data mining and similar other fields, including computer control systems and so on. With that background, let me just welcome all the outside participants, delegates, and I do hope on behalf of the entire organizing committee that you take back with you pleasant memories of AMU. And if you get a chance, have a look at the heritage buildings of ours, some of them being about 150 years old. And I hope you enjoy your hospitality here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for enlightening us, sir. Now, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, who is presently a professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering. He is a B.Tech from AMU, M.Tech from IIT Delhi, and PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. He is popular among his students for excellent content delivery, clarity of presentation, and extraordinary punctuality and discipline. He is a stickler for quality, team builder to the core, and a natural motivator with integrity. Sir, we will be blessed to hear your words of wisdom today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Respected Chief Guest, Professor Asim Sahab, my little senior colleague, Beg Sahab, when I was in the final year of B.Tech in AMU, he had proceeded to IISc Bangalore at that time. The convener, the chairperson, my batchmate, Professor Naseem Sahab, my one-time colleague, Tamanna Siddiqui Sahiba, and many other faces whom I know but I might not remember their names, delegates from outside Aligarh as well as from within the university, and my dear children. It's a great pleasure today morning to have come back to my alma mater as a guest speaker. No doubt it's a privilege that Professor Asim provided me and invited me, and I feel proud to be sharing the stage along with my colleagues, and especially with Professor Beg, who happens to be my senior from the same department. In fact, we bifurcated a little later. It was during my time only when the electrical department had got the high current engineering and low current engineering, and later a separate department was established. My dear friends, while the entire nation has been celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and just a few weeks ago, the country has started celebrating its presidentship of the G20 nations. We are in the celebrations mode. But while we celebrate all other things at the national level, the nation also needs to celebrate the success of computer sciences in India. I remember the days Professor Salim Beg described about the purchase of the VAX 11 machine. We were the batch who were privileged to have used, and we used to do our fluid mechanics calculations on the VAX 11 machine. Even today we cherish that memory, and nobody else in this entire country, including the people from IIT, had that privilege at that time. We have gone a long way. India as a nation had already missed the Industrial Revolution #1, in the Industrial Revolution #2, because of the lack of resources, the lack of personnel who could meet the challenges of the time, and the lack of technology we had at that time. But there were few people in the country who could visualize the futuristic need of our society. One of them was Professor V. Rajaraman. We remember him very fondly. He talked to the then Prime Minister of the country, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and proposed a course. And he said, we don't only require the computer engineers, but we require better users of the computers. And he proposed the program of the MCA. Indira Gandhi readily agreed, and she said that, okay, whatever plans you have in the mind, please go ahead with that. And he proposed that all those students who graduate with mathematics background have an ability to give a logical thinking to any given situation can be admitted to that MCA program. So that was a 3 years program after 3 years graduation. So that was a big challenge, but the product that the country gave at that time, we were not only able to catch up with the IT revolution of the world, but we rather became the leader of that revolution. We must cherish that. We must remember that. And even in the field of the researches now, that was the beginning when we became only programmers. And our programmers spread over the entire world, and that is still leading the companies of the programming and IT and IoT. But the researchers in the computer science have been at the pioneering level. The development, the computational intelligence, some of us in India have been doing the best. And our friendship not only goes with the older researchers, but with the contemporary researchers of the world. Lutfi Zadeh, I remember Professor Sufyan Beg went for his PDF to work with the Lutfi Zadeh, who was the founder and the propounder of the fuzzy logic theory. And then after that, Krasimir Atanasov from Bulgaria, who works on the intuitionistic fuzzy logic, still he has been working, and we have many friends collaborating with him. Then came the nutrosophic logic, about which I would talk in my keynote address later after this function. The Professor Florentine from USA, he has been the propounding figure in this area, and I remember that many of the scholars who collaborate with him are from these Asian nations, from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and other Muslim countries, so to say. And they have been very proud to work with them, and they always extend a helping hand. You write a mail to these great people, I am very sure that you will receive a reply within a week time. Even though they are the researchers at the international level, they are very busy people. They control the academies. The Professor Krasimir Atanasov of Bulgaria, he is the chairman of the Bulgarian the Scientific Society, like we have the Indian National Society here of Sciences. So these are great people, but yet they love to collaborate with any Indian student who would dare to write to them. Friends, I just believe that I'm so fortunate to be speaking in front of my own teachers and friends who are the product of this great university. I always cherish to remember. The concept of teaching has also changed a little bit. India as a nation took a challenge of implementing the outcome-based education right back in the year 2014. The then education minister, the HRD minister, Madam Smriti Irani, became a signatory to what is known as the Washington Accord, in which the outcome-based education is the focus of education transmission to the students. Earlier, we used to teach what we knew. We used to teach what we were given into the syllabus and the prescribed pro forma. But now we are supposed to teach what the students require to learn, what the industries demand. We have to find out those concepts, and the outcome-based education system has been prevailing, and now we have also become the signatory to that accord in a much bigger way. We have signed it second time, and we now to understand the very spirit of the outcome-based educational system. The outcomes which earlier used to be in terms of the percentage of marks, the toppers, the placements, and the packages the students would get, that is what we used to celebrate at the end of the degree programs. But now we need to make an assessment of how good a student is in terms of his own human values. Apart from the very good marks that one has obtained, how good a human he or she is, how sensitive he or she is towards the environment and its sustainability, how good a leader one is, how good you are in giving back to the society from where you have taken entire resources in order to become a graduate, all that. So friends, I would once again thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I wish the organizers a very good luck and a great success in this conference. I also wish the delegates to have taken a very good memory with them from this campus and enjoy your life. See the nooks and corners of the university, which we saw for 6 years during our stay, and we still love and be proud of visiting this campus whenever we are given a chance to do so. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much for your valuable words, sir. Now, on behalf of all of us here, it's a pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Professor Wasim Ahmed, who is an internationally acclaimed nematologist with about 4 decades of research experience on soil nematode fauna of different geographical regions of India and over 20 different countries of the world. His work is appreciated in not just our country, but all over the world. Sir, your presence is an honor, and it adds a special spark to our celebration. Please make us hear a few words from you.
Professor Qayyum Ansari Saab, our keynote speaker, Salim Beg Saab, our friend, guest of honor, Dr. Asim Zafar, the convener of this conference and chairman, Department of Computer Sciences, Arman Faridi, our colleague. I could see several of our colleagues here and some of the senior persons. I don't think no one is senior to me here, but still some colleagues are there. We have ex-dean science here, chairman Department of Chemistry, and seems there are so many people here. And of course, the other staffs of the Computer Sciences Department, other staffs of the Engineering College, students, PhD scholars, etc. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Asim for organizing such an important event, an international conference on the most important topic. Like nowadays, everyone talks about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, etc., and machine learning. So, of course, I'm not a computer scientist, but we just hear about these things. So I must congratulate him and the entire Department of Computer Sciences for organizing such an important conference. And I'm told that, of course, the conference is online also. So many people from industry, from several universities inside India and outside India, they are connected with this. I would just go through my experience with the computer center. I joined this university in 1971 as a pre-university student. I must tell you, it is the same year when this university got its first computer. That is IBM 1130. And the first batch of postgraduate diploma in computer sciences, I think it came out sometime in 74, because my elder brother was in that batch. He and Akhtar Hussain Saab and Hamid Hussain Saab, they were there in that first batch in 1974. So because of that, we had very close contact with computer centers. We used to go to computer centers. It was a big computer for me, and I'm not a technical man, it was a big computer. But when I joined my PhD for data processing and others, we had to go to computer center, and we used to get punch cards. And we had to punch, and then they were fed, and we used to get big sheets, with holes, इधर भी सुराख होते थे, इधर भी सुराख होते थे, बड़ी बड़ी sheet मिलती थी, and that. So that was the time when we came in contact with the computer center. And one more thing I would like to say that I got my graduation in 1975, and at that time we got computerized mark sheets. I think no university in India at that time was able to provide computerized mark sheets to undergraduate and postgraduate students. This was the only university which provided computerized mark sheet way back in 1975, and for my master's in 1977 we got computerized mark sheet, and that was a very important event. Gradually, of course, the computer center developed, and in 1988 the full-fledged Department of Computer Science got established. Separate from the computer center was governed by Akhtar Hussain Saab, and computer science department became separately. And both of them, hand to hand, they work for the development of this science in this country. And it is must that I must here remember our ex-Vice Chancellor, Professor Naseem Farooqi Sahib, because he was the real person who was responsible for the development of computer education, or extending computer education to all the students in this university. And now we have, of course, 3 units. We have computer science department, we have computer center, and we have computer engineering department. 3 units are there, and they are doing, of course, wonderful jobs. Either it is cloud computing, or AI, or cybersecurity, or machine learning. They are doing wonderful jobs, and the ranking which Salim Sahib has said in higher education learning, these among the 7 departments, computer science, of course it is not a very big department, it is a small department, still it has been ranked there in the in ranking of world ranking. Then the topic of the present conference, as told by Asim, that is computer intelligence, is also very relevant these days. And I was just going through the Google Uncle, and what I saw is the entire mechanism of machine learning and AI is basically based on our nervous system, how the sensory and motor nerves works in the human animals or human beings. It is exactly on the same patterns that the information from one neuron to the other and other to other is sent, and that actually gives the intelligent result what has to be done. Nowadays we talk about driverless vehicles and others. This all works on intelligent computing, and the mechanism from where it came from biological scientists. I would say, being a biologist, I have to say that the mechanism is based on how neurons work in getting information from different parts of the body, comes to the central nervous system, and then gives the orders. It is exactly the same mechanism on which the AI and machine learning works. I think this conference will be, I think it is the first international conference, so it will be giving a very big through to our students and research scholars. I'm sure that this conference would help the young students and researchers to maintain an appropriate level of awareness, knowledge, and skill to get themselves familiar with possible application of computational intelligence. I have no doubt that this conference will provide the participants a chance to share their research work with others, build a strong research network, do deep discussions, get inspired by new ideas, and identify experts for collaboration. And I am very strongly of the view that my office will be receiving some new collaborative projects after this, because there is always a possibility that you have scientists from outside, and so you can develop collaborative projects, and because my office receives those projects, so I should be receiving in short period these projects. Lastly, I congratulate the whole department, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, and the students for organizing such a wonderful conference, and hope that they will continue their endeavor to excel in the field of computer sciences. Thank you very much.
So much for enlightening us, sir. Now I request Dr. Arman Rasool Faridi, the organizing chair, to please come and propose the vote of thanks.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with gratitude and immense pride to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee of this international conference. I would like to extend my warmest and sincerest gratitude to all the dignitaries on the dais and every one of you who are present in this beautiful auditorium and many who are watching us live for sparing your valuable time to be with us today and to be a part of this historic moment. Your presence and support are truly appreciated, and we are honored to have you with us. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence. I'm very much thankful to all advisory committee and technical program committee members and the invited speakers. Special thanks to chairs and co-chairs. Words are not enough to thank their constant guidance and support to shape this conference. I would like to express my special gratitude to our guest speaker for this session, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, our guest of honor, Professor Mirza Salim Beg, and of course our chief guest, Professor Wasim Ahmed, for making this event pleasurable and rewarding with their gracious presence. Sir, you have indeed added immense value to this conference. On behalf of the organizing committee, I convey deep regards and heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Tariq Mansoor Saab, and other officials of the university for all necessary administrative approval in organizing this event on the campus. They have supported us in all possible manner, and we thank them from the core of our heart. I would like to thank our beloved head of the department, Professor Asim Zafar, who is also the convener of this conference, for his constant guidance and encouragement that radiated a source of energy within us. I would also like to thank our sponsors who have supported us in this endeavor and made this conference a reality. We have been fortunate to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated students, volunteers, and non-teaching staffs. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge and thank our hardworking and dedicated organizing committee members who have put in countless hours of efforts to make this conference a huge success. Your dedication, passion, and commitment are truly inspiring, and we are grateful to have you as a part of our team. In conclusion, I once again express my heartfelt gratitude to you all for being a part of this inaugural session. We hope that this session will be a platform for meaningful discussions, learning, and collaborations, and that you will make the most of this opportunity. Enjoy the conference and the beautiful campus and multicultural life of Aligarh Muslim University. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the whole organizing team, I would like to thank all of our guests and dignitaries for joining us on this special day. We hope you all have enjoyed yourselves as much as we have. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon on our second international conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence 2025. Now, as per the tradition of our university, let's end our conference with the University Tarana, followed by National Anthem. For National Anthem, I would request everyone to please stand proud and join us in showing respect to our national anthem and our motherland.
जन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
वहां से चलेगी तो फुल स्क्रीन पे आएगी ना?
कहाँ से?
अगर वहां से चलेगी
वहां से चली
तो फुल स्क्रीन पे आएगी।
हाँ
नहीं
नहीं नहीं, वहां से हम यहाँ पे लेके यहाँ से चला रहे हैं।
अच्छा
तो चलेगी मोस्ट प्रोबेबली, बस एक बार देख लेना।
हाँ, एक मिनट।
हेलो, यहाँ पे आवाज आ रही है? माइक ऑन यहाँ पे कोई करके चेक कर सकते हैं? यहाँ पे कोई माइक है? हेलो
हेलो हेलो हेलो
ठीक है।
आप बोलिए यहाँ पे माइक।
हेलो, ऐसे नहीं आएगी वो। हेलो हेलो, ऑक्स ऑन करिए। हेलो
Can you hear me? Yes.
Delivery 45.
Sure. Mm.
Hello. Yeah, Professor Mindro Kobayashi, can you mute your, maybe you can join
Yeah.
after around 11:45. It will be fine. As per the
Sure.
schedule,
Mm.
okay. So we are just checking either that the connectivity is okay or not. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
All those who are in the lawns are requested to please be seated. All those who are in lawns are requested to please come inside and be seated. Good morning, respected professors, researchers, delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen present here, and our alumni and participants joining us live from all over the world. I, Marisha Shoaib, welcome you here to the day one of the plenary session of the International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence 2023. The session is intended for the researchers around the globe interested in the areas of artificial intelligence, computational intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, fuzzy logic, cloud computing, blockchain, Internet of Things, wireless sensor networks, and many more. The theme of this year's conference is Emerging Computational Intelligence, and we have an impressive lineup of speakers who will be sharing their insights and perspectives on how it can be leveraged for positive impact across different industries, from healthcare to finance, from education to environmental protection. It has the potential to bring about significant change for the better. Now, I invite the guest of today's function with a request to come onto position and occupy the distinguished chair. I consider it a great honor to welcome Professor Mirza Salim Beg, Professor at the Department of Electronics, Aligarh Muslim University, to preside this session, and I request Professor Beg to please join us onto the dais. Thank you, sir. Now, I welcome Professor Minoru Kobayashi from Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, Okayama University, Japan, who has joined us live. Professor Kobayashi is an eminent researcher. He is our keynote speaker this morning. Audience, please give a huge round of applause to the learned professor. I would request Professor to please wave his hand for the audience. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to welcome our second keynote speaker this morning, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Professor Ansari is a distinguished academician, eloquent speaker, and founder chairperson of computer science at Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. I request the Honorable Professor to join us to the dais. Thank you, sir. Next, we look forward for the presence of Professor Mohammad Ubaidullah Bukhari, Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim University, on the dais. Thank you, sir. It is my privilege to invite Dr. Swalia Zubair, Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim University, onto the dais. Thank you, ma'am. May I request Professor Mohammad Ubaidullah Bukhari for welcome address and to introduce the dignitaries.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Honorable Rector of the universities, Honorable distinguished speakers, guests, conference participants and listeners, and particularly those who are from abroad, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good morning to everyone. On the behalf of the organizing and steering committee, it is my great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all at the International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence 23, organized by the Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim City. The Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim City, is one of the oldest and pioneer department of computer science and information technology in India. Department is one of the growing departments of computer science in India, which has been witnessed by the various reputed ranking agencies. Before giving the floor to the keynote speaker, I will take this opportunity to make some general remarks on the importance of the such conference organized by the various departments for the promotion of educational reform in the society. As we all know that we live in the world where data is the new oil, which is the taking the future in the entirely to the new dimension where physical world exists in parallel with cyberspace and digital representation of ourselves. Today we do not use technology but live technology, and is one of the main expansion is toward the development of computational technologies developing in parallel with computer science. For instance, the initial phase internet was just a big network of connected machines, but in present time, internet is no longer global network we connect to, instead it interconnected world we live in. For our generation, the easiest and fastest way to change the world is to build a new technology, and these modern development ideas are shared with events like conferences, which are organized by academicians and professionals with their best given efforts. The conference like this helps the future generation to shape the world in more efficient manner. Many academicians are trying their best for the development of society and the canvas the future of the students and scholars in the best way possible by sharing their knowledge and experience. In an organization like Aligarh Muslim City is full of the academic gems working with the versatility including its alumni also. Such gems of academic excellence are presently honoring us by their presence in their memorable events. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our president for the plenary session, Professor Mirza Salim Beg, and the keynote speakers on the stage, Professor Minuru Kuri Beashi and Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari. Our president of the session, founder of the head of the academic researcher, Professor Dr. Salim Beg, from the Department of Electronics Engineering, started his journey in Aligarh Muslim University by obtaining his BSc Engineering honors from the department, and Master Engineering in Communication Engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He was awarded prestigious Commonwealth Scholarship affording research at Loughborough University, England, from where he obtained his PhD for research in the area of digital communication over mobile channel. His academic interest lies in the area of the mobile communication and computing, wireless network, multimedia communications, computer networks, and consumer electronics. He has supervised more than 45 postgraduate theses, including doctoral thesis, to successful completion. He has more than 180 research publications in journals and conferences in repute. Our first speaker, Professor Minuru Kiribayashi, is currently working as the professor at Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, Okayama University, Japan. He received BE, ME, and DE degree from Kobe University, Japan in 1999, 2001, and 2004. He was the research associate and assistant professor at Kobe University from 2002 to 2007 and from 2007 to 2015, respectively. Since 2015, he has been associate professor in the Graduate School of Natural Science and Technology, Okayama University. His research interest includes multimedia security, digital watermarking, cryptography, and coding theory. He served as associate editor of IEEE Signal Processing Letters, Journal of Information Security and Application in IECT. The next speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, is a professor at Jamia Millia University, New Delhi. He has been serving at Jamia Millia since 1984. He is presently a professor in the Department of Electronics. He is a BTech from AMU, MTech from IIT Delhi, and PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. He has successfully guided 22 PhD and more than 30 MTech dissertations. He has published about 80 reputed in journals papers, one book each written and edited, 15 books chapters, and 110 conferences papers. He has also worked as a guest editor for the 2 international journals reputed. Professor Ansari has honorarily been consultant to this Onyx Electronics that deals in the installation and maintenance of the traffic signals in the major city of the country. It is our privilege to some drops from the ocean of their knowledge. I would like to request all the participants and the listeners to get the most of the wisdom from such dignitaries possible in the most efficient way. Also, I thank Professor Asim Zafar, Chairperson, Department Computer Science, and convener of the conference for giving me this opportunity and organizing such an event. I am in particular grateful to our guests, speakers, and participants who are present here physically and virtually from around the globe. Enjoy your participation in this conference, IECT International Conference on Emerging Computational Intelligence 2023, and memorable time here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for welcoming and introducing our invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to call our first speaker, Professor Minoru Kobayashi from Japan, who has a wealth of knowledge and insights to share with us. Please join me in welcoming Professor Minoru Kobayashi.
So, thank you for your kind introduction. I am Minoru Kuribayashi from Okayama University, Japan. So, it is my honor to be a keynote speaker of this interesting conference on emerging computational intelligence. And unfortunately, due to some limitation of the travel, I will join this conference via the online. But I hope all of you will enjoy the conference as a venue, and I hope to give you some insight of the recent technologies in multimedia security. Okay, I'll share my screen. Well, I think you can see my screen. Is it okay?
It's okay.
It's okay, thank you. Okay, today's talk is multimedia forensics for fake content classification. Okay, this is the agenda of my talk. First, I'll explain about the definition of fake content, and then generation and detection of fake contents, and discuss about some open problems. And I will introduce some new approaches about defense against fake content. Okay, first, fake news is very important in the recent years because there are plenty of fake news on the internet. So maybe all of you have some interest in the fake news and how to control or how to manage or how to detect the fake news on the internet. But before to analyzing the fake news, we need to define what is a fake news. Maybe there are a variety of fake news. One of the typical categorization is one is parody. Maybe someone will make some joke. And second one is false connections. It will be appeared as a headline or captions on the newspaper or magazine or news headline. And the other one is misleading content. It will try to frame an issue or an individual. And the other one is false content. It's a content with false contextual information. And the other one is imposter content. It is intended to create to personate with false. And the other one is manipulated contents and fabricated contents. So in this talk, I'd like to focusing on these two contents, the manipulated. So someone will try to modify or edit the multimedia contents so that somebody or many people will be persuaded from something. And the other one is fabricated. Some content can be created by recent artificial intelligence technologies. So in such a case, it contains some problems to make a misinformation or disinformation or malinformation. Okay, what is the problem in the fake news using multimedia content? Because of the AI technology, we will be able to create fake contents. It looks like very real, but it is created from nothing, or it will be combined with different resources to make a new video or audio and something. So if someone creating a certain fake contents and this is distributed over internet and it's shared as social network services, then somebody will amazing some information receiving from the social network services. So it often has the aim of damaging the reputation of a person. So just making a joke, it is no problem. It is like a joke. It's very interesting. It's a fun or something. It's okay. But if an important person is used to create a fake contents, the situation is completely different. So, like a president in the United States or UK and some other countries, these persons are very important and they are very influenced to all over the world. Therefore, manipulating or fabricating multimedia content will be used for spreading a propaganda. So, for example, in the election of the president, this opponent tried to create illegal content or fake contents. Then, what happened? It will change the national trend or its direction of the national movement would be changed by a illegal party. So it has a big impact on the social. Therefore, we should prevent or to detect the fake contents using some kind of technologies. So there are many categories of fake contents. So these four are very roughly classified categories. One is identity swap. In this case, the identity of a person will be changed by changing its appearance, the hairstyle, or glasses and something. And the other one is a face synthesis. It can create from nothing. So it is completely created. But this person is not exist in a real. So if somebody make a new character using this face synthesis technique, it is possible to make a fake content to persuade the person to a certain direction. And the other one is attribute manipulation. It can change the attribute of a person. And the other one is expression swap. It can change the expression of the face appearance by manipulating a certain target face. Okay, now we move to the others, the generation and detection of fake contents. I explain briefly about the recent trend of generation and detection of fake content. So I think the first technique to make a fake content is coming from a university campus. It is called face swap. It was originally created as an exercise in mathematics in multimedia on the Warsaw University of Technology. The idea itself is very simple. Here is the target image, and this is the source image, and detecting the face region of the target and swap the face with the source to make a fake content, right? So based on these techniques, the synthesized media can be easily created by swapping the face regions to the other parties. So the left one is the original movie, and these are the other characters, and swapping their face on this original videos. But it will try to say modify the expression of the face because this given image is a still image and no attribute. But by modifying the attribute, it is possible to make the similar expression of the face. But the face itself is replaced from the original. So this kind of swapping is possible by using image processing techniques and deep learning technologies. So how to generate such a real fake contents? The recent technique is based on the generative adversarial network, so-called GAN. The GAN architecture is a following. Here is a generator to generating some kind of contents from the noise. And here is a discriminator. It is a kind of classifier if a real image is input into this discriminator, it will output the real label. But the contents generated by this generator is classified as fake. So, but if the output of the discriminator is feedback to the generator, so that the generator can make a more real contents, then generator try to throw the output to the discriminator, and discriminator try to classify the result and make a feedback and try to make again and classify and output and this feedback. So by using this feedback, the generator finally updating the quality of the output image, output multimedia contents. So finally, the discriminator cannot classify the input image, input multimedia content is real or fake. So when the discriminator failed to classify, then the generator is finished. So we can make a real images and videos after running this GAN. So it means here is a face dataset, and we try to train the generator based on the GAN architecture. After that, the AI system can create a very real-like faces. But these faces are not existed. So the trained AI system can create non-existing face images according to the trained dataset. Okay, this is an example of the generator, so-called StyleGAN. It is proposed by the research groups in NVIDIA. It creates a face according to some parameters of input images. So the left one is some parameters, and the right one is a created image. So it can changing their expression or face characteristics according to the input parameters. But as you can see, the created images is very real. So it's sometimes very difficult to classify for the human eyes. So in the entertainment areas, this kind of technologies is very attractive because you do not make dangerous actions by the actor. So it's action movies. Maybe sometimes actors play a certain very dangerous actions, but using this technique, the actor do not need to do any dangerous scenes. Okay, anyway, the other techniques to create deepfake is based on the encoder and decoders. It's like a autoencoder. So the autoencoder is composed of two main components. One is encoder and the other one is decoder. Encoder is compressing the feature element from the input image, input data. And the decoder is decompress the feature element encoded by the encoder. So if the encoder and decoder is trained for the person A, and the decoder is trained only by the person A, then the output of encoder is connecting to the decoder. And if the person B's picture is input into the encoder, and the extracted feature element is input to the decoder, and decoder will outputting the image. Then the result is looks like the face region is looks like B, but the other part is looks like original one. I'm sorry, and the face region is looks like A, and the other part is looks like B's. So it can create a certain difference by doing this architecture. So the encoder is trained based on the generic person's face. On the other hand, the decoder is trained for each person's characteristics, each person's pictures. As a result, we can make a certain fake image based on this architecture. Okay, the other one is it's a traces of synthesized media. Even if the image processing operation is developed, some traces would be left behind. So if we analyzing the traces, it may be possible to classify the given content is fake or real. So for example, in the real image, it looks like very natural, but in the created image, there are some let's say unnatural boundaries between the some parts. In this case, the north part, it has some irregularity. It appears on the shaded area of this, like this. And in this case, the shape of teeth, which looks natural, but the created face, the upper two teeth and the bottom teeth is different. And in this case, there are some boundaries. And also in the eyes, your eye light reflection effect is different. This is very looks natural, but the created face, the eyes, its characteristics is completely different from the original. Therefore, by analyzing these traces, it would be possible to classify the multimedia, the fake contents. So this kind of technique is called multimedia forensics. Okay, and this slide explains about a very generic architecture for classifying the detection of the fake contents. So here is the original fake content, and by detecting the face region, because of many fake content is replacing the face region or manipulating the face regions. So we're focusing on the face regions by detecting the face. Then making some augmentation to train the classifier. So using the convolutional neural network or recursive neural network. Then by making ensemble machine learning model, and finally the classifier will output the input is real or fake. By training these backbones, it is possible to classify the fake or real. So this is a natural architecture, a generic architecture for detection of fake contents. So in the last 3 years, many researchers are focusing on developing a deepfake detector. So Facebook and other companies try to make a competition to stimulate researchers to develop a high-level deepfake detector. And in this competition, it is done in 3 years ago, and the dataset was created by Facebook consisting of more than 100,000 videos. And many research groups in the world try to develop a new detector, and they submitting their result based on these videos. So in this video, there are mixture of real and fake. But how to create the fake video is not provided. Okay. Anyway, many people try to participate in this competition, and some group get a high score. The highest score, the top performance model, get 82.56% precision for detection accuracy. Okay, many researchers try to develop a fake detector based on the deep learning techniques, but there are still open problems. Now we discuss about the difficulties of classification of fake contents. So this slide shows the typical deepfake detection pipeline. Here is a given video, the input video, and detects the face area and cropping the face region. Then make some modification to the detected face areas and input into the CNN-based classifier. Then outputting the result is real or fake. So in this pipeline, if an adversary try to add noise to fool the detector, what happens? So I mean, there exists an adversarial attack. It has been applied on CNN-based fake detector to expose their vulnerabilities to adversarial examples. I mean, when the noise is added to the face areas, then the face detection may be fooled, or classifier will be fooled by the adversarial attack. So the illegal party will try to create a fake contents by using deep learning techniques, using the GAN architecture or something. It is a first stage for generating fake contents. What is second generation? Because many researchers try to develop a fake detector, the attacker will try to create a fake contents, avoiding the existing fake detector. So this is a kind of new generation of the fake contents by creating a fake content and adding a noise to avoid the fake detector. So then, what is adversarial attack? It is very well-known attack or vulnerabilities in machine learning techniques. When some perturbations is added to the managed media content, for example, here is a panda image and adding a small perturbations according to a certain generating strategy. Then the result image, it is classified as different level. Even if the quality is not degraded from the original. So everybody can perceive this is still panda, but machine learning model will misunderstand. It is because of the perturbations and the difference of the perceiving mechanism, recognizing mechanism of machine learning model. So the machine learning model will try to extract a feature element from the given image. Then it is placed on the feature space. So for example, if here is the original feature element extracted from the original image, then by adding the perturbations, this label is moved to the other class. But the perturbation is not degraded the visual quality. So by adding a noise to changing the feature space element, as a result, the machine learning detector will be fooled to outputting the different output from the original. So what happened to the fake detector? So here is a fake video and try to detect the face areas. And this face area is input into the fake detector, the classifier. And it will output, this is a fake. It is natural operation. But if an adversary try to add perturbations to the original fake videos, so this is an adversary modified fake video. So in this case, even if the face area is detected correctly, the classifier will be failed. So this is a vulnerability to adversary attack. So it is strongly required for the recent fake detector to make it robust against adversary attack. But it's a very challenging task. Okay, other difficulty, it is a lack of generalization. So detector may overfit to a particular data set or generation method. I mean, the classifier will be trained using a particular data set. In such a case, if a deepfake is created or new deepfake generation method is developed, then what happens? This classifier cannot output correctly because this classifier is only trained by a particular data set. Therefore, this classifier cannot get a good accuracy for the unknown deepfake. So this is a very difficult problem. Okay. So there are a variety of fake generators developed in the literature. So there are a variety of fake creations or fake generation method. Maybe in the future, many other generation techniques will be appeared, will be developed. So in such a situation, how to train the classifier or how to keep the good classification accuracy? It is still open problem. How to fight against such unknown fake contents? Okay, next, I will explain some new approaches for fighting against fake contents. So this is a new framework for digital right management. It's so-called Content Authenticity Initiative. It is a group of working together to fight misinformation and add a layer of verifiable trust to all types of digital content. So it means the digital contents, the multimedia content will be created at first and it is edited. Then it is published and shared and user will viewing the multimedia contents. This is a natural flow. So in this content authenticity initiative, it make a new functionality like everyone can view historical information about content with metadata. So it means, oh, sorry. These 4 steps of multimedia content creation. Everyone can check the history of creation, editing, and publishing and sharing. When you find some contents, then you can check, oh, this content is coming from the device, that device, and the content is edited by using a certain software, and the content is distributed over this platform, and we receive the contents on my device, right? So this is a history of all the all of the flows of this creation, editing, publishing, and sharing and viewing. So if it is possible, everyone can check the reality of the contents. So in the current framework, everyone can take a picture or take recording a video and distributing it over the social network service or YouTube or something. In such a scenario, it's very difficult to classify the given content is fake or real. So this framework make some limitation of distributing multimedia contents by giving some new functionalities like the view of historical information. So if everyone can check the history of contents, we do not worry about the fake news, fake contents, because everyone can check the editing history. So based on this new framework, our group tried to make a new approach by combining several techniques like watermarking and the forensics tool. So before distributing multimedia content, we try to insert credential information as a watermark. And the credential information is also connecting to blockchain so that everyone can check the integrity of the multimedia contents. And once the content is illegally distributed, we try to analyze using the machine learning technique, like a deepfake detector. So it's a combination of many techniques. So for example, here is a watermarking and forensics tools. So in the active approach, we insert robust watermark to check the originality. And also we embed fragile watermark to check the manipulation of the contents. And the other approach is a passive approach. It's a machine learning based forensics tool to analyzing the distortions involved in the given contents. So in the deepfake detector, it is a kind of machine learning based forensics tool because multimedia content contains some irregular signals when it is created. Therefore, it analyzing the distortion or unnatural signals involved in the multimedia contents. So this approach is very passive because once the fake content is created, we try to analyze the tiny signal involved in the multimedia contents. So this technique itself is very important, but this technique is passive. Therefore, we combine the active approach to protect the illegal distribution of fake contents. Okay, and this slide also shows the solutions So here is a video frame and extracting feature element from the lip movement of the face and creating a watermark. And the watermark signal is input into the audio or speech signal. So it can assure the connections of time domain contents. So because a video frame is a time series of still image, if we check the integrity of the time connection, we can assure the integrity of the contents. So this is our current project called this similar. It is organized by a Japanese group and Spain group and Poland group. So these three countries groups are combined to make a new technologies for fake contents. So if you have any interest, please ask me later. Okay, thank you for your attention. This is end of my talk. Thank you.
Please come onto the dais, sir. Professor, are you ready to answer their questions?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay. Hello, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. So my question is about the multimedia that you're tackling on the regarding the misinformation or fake news. How do you tackle the lossy compression in the social media sites? Because we know that social media sites often, when they compress the image, there is loss of information. What about the image, and how do you detect the images are fake or not? I could understand about the audio signals. What about the image?
Yeah, thank you for your question. It's a very important point in multimedia contents because when you transfer multimedia content over social network services, it will be compressed. So the traces of manipulation will be destroyed by the compression. But some deep learning based detector can analyze the traces of original manipulated contents, even if it is compressed. So it means when the dataset is compressed and trained the classifier, it is still possible to get a high accuracy. But it depends on the amount of the compression. If the content is compressed too much, then the situation is very difficult. But in a middle or mild level of compression is performed, it is still possible to classify in the current technologies.
Thank you.
Okay, and the other one is if we insert a watermark, fragile watermark, for example, the watermark itself is collapsed when it is compressed. Then we can detect some modification. So like a content credentials, it is possible to detect some irregular modification is performed. on the given contents. Therefore, we can detect some illegal distribution of the contents or illegal manipulation of the contents by checking the existing embedded watermark.
Thank you, sir.
We will be taking 2 more questions. If please join to the dice.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, nowadays we came across ChatGPT. How we can check whether the content is generated by AI tool like ChatGPT or not? How, if you can enlighten us with the techniques that can detect whether the content is created by AI, such as ChatGPT. Thank you.
You mean chat GPT is a sentence?
Yes. ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is very recent hot topic in the artificial intelligence. So it can create a real like sentence. Yeah, of course, it's a very important factor to check the reality of the generated sentence. And OpenAI community producing a certain tool to classify the generated sentence by the chat GPT. But I'm not sure the detail of the architecture, how to classify the generated contents, generated sentence. But I think it may be possible to classify because the chat GPT has some tendency of generated sentences. But if the amount of sentences is sufficient, it is possible. Only one sentence or two sentences, maybe it is difficult to classify.
Sometimes it is in the beginning, at the end, it's okay. But if it is short, it is difficult for even ChatGPT to check whether it is fake or not.
Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, how to define what is fake? This is different topics of definition of the fake.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
In one of your slides, you mentioned that deep learning models are vulnerable to adversarial attacks, and we need to make them robust. So, what if we train the model with adversarial examples itself so that they become robust to adversarial attacks? Is it possible?
Yeah, thank you for your good question. So in my group now, focusing on purify the adversarial example by removing the noise. Because adversarial example is created by adding noise. The very simple idea is just make some filtering operations to remove the added noise to recover the original image. So this is a new approach for fighting against adversarial attack. So the approach is first we try to check the existence of the adversarial perturbations in the given multimedia contents, and if it exists, we try to remove the noise at first, and then input into the defect detector. Is it okay?
Thank you so much for answering the question, sir. Finally, we have our last speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. We are thrilled to have him here. I invite Professor Ansari to share his knowledge. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your insightful address.
Thanks, Professor. It was wonderful listening to you. Yeah, friends, now I'm here with my share of time and the topic. It will mostly interest my students sitting on my left, and therefore I would like this one to be a little more interactive rather than just telling what I know. So to begin with, I would pass through the journey of the logic theory and then where we have ended up today and how the computational intelligence has made such a huge impact on our day-to-day life. And the people who have contributed would also be remembered in my presentation. So it's fundamental in nature. This is not hardcore computational intelligence, but this is from where we have started the journey with. Okay, so here is a question, mostly directed towards my students on this side. So read this question and raise your hand for the answer. So Mary's mom has 4 children. This is a very, generic type of a question. The first child is called April, the second is called May, third the June, and who is the 4th one? Mary herself. So this is quite obvious, right? But then I will now increase into the complexity. So this is kind of, discrete in nature. Rubina has 6 pairs of black socks and 6 pairs of white socks in her drawer. So how many socks does she require to draw from the drawers in order to make a pair? So yes, you said 3. So that's a good answer, because the socks do not have right or left, and therefore if you take 2, chances are that there may be one white and another black, but if you take 3, necessarily another would be either black or white and would make a pair. Now next. So I would say that this is still more difficult than the previous one. Please raise your hand with confidence. Okay. It's a half-hearted raised hand. Or is it full? Okay. Please go ahead. Yes, please. Okay. So here is the answer. So because there is a contradiction, I would come directly to the answer. So that is how the logic works, this game, which is now arithmetic kind of, during our childhood, we used to play the tic-tac-toe, in which we have to put crosses, and the endeavor is not to put 3 crosses in a row. And so this would require a paper and pencil to work with, but however, this is a kind of example I give. And the last example is this one. If you put a coin in a bottle and insert a cork into the bottle mouth of the bottle, now how would you remove the coin without taking out the cork or without breaking the bottle? Not possible. Okay? So I'm just trying to bring you into the logical mode of thinking. And this is the last example, and we would then start directly. You are not supposed to bring out the cork, neither you are allowed to break the bottle, yet you have to bring out the coin from the bottle. Okay, so the answer is here. Cork has a provision to be pushed in. You don't actually require to take out the cork. You can push in and you can take out the bottle. Logic here. Friends, the 3-4 examples that I gave, one was discrete in nature, in which you had to make a pair. There was a mathematical one and a practical one in which I asked you to take out the coin from the bottle. So we always almost involve reasoning or data. And starting from the time of Aristotle and Socrates, these kind of problems have been faced. And those who were more logical in nature and would give a different answer to the existing problems of the society would never be liked by the general public present at that time. And the Aristotle and the others had faced the music of that time. But however, the classical logic, which was invented by the Greeks, it was converted into mathematics. True and false was already there, and a connectivity of and or was made later. If then were used to make the theorems at that time. Boolean logic, which came as back as in 1854, was conceptualized, and the discrete mathematics was brought into picture. When the Boole's work was given a realization into electric circuit or electronic circuit after 1947, when the transistors were invented, and even before that the Claude Shannon had given some realization before the semiconductor devices. But actually 1947, when this transistor was invented, the digital electronics came into being, and the Boolean logic came into the practical reasoning. See, in Boolean logic, what we say is not very practical. And this is a very classic example. What has happened? Okay. See the example here. When we say that a bulb glows at a voltage of 220 volt, and if it is a Boolean assertion, it means the bulb would glow at a voltage of 220, not otherwise. So any voltage left or right of 220 is not supposed to glow if we strictly follow the Boolean law and Boolean logic. But in our practical life, it doesn't happen. The bulb still glows for higher or the lower voltages. So that is how do we define, and the solution to such problems was given by fuzzy logic as to how do we go around, and the speech that we make or the words that we speak mostly bear meaning, even though mathematically they were not represented at that time. Now here, if we say, this is yet another example, if we say that a person 1.8 meter height is called as tall. Now anybody even slightly smaller than 1.8 meter would not be tall. I mean, this is how the discrete logic puts us into. This is an example where we define the classes of the water being hot. And if we give the discrete values to different temperatures, so water being warm between 10 degree and 20 degree. Now any temperature beyond 20 degree, can we really say that this has become hot from warm to hot? So in our practical and real life, the discriminations are never such. We always speak something which is called around, almost, approximately, more or less. So these are some of the phrases that we use. Fuzzy logic could find a mathematical representation to such ambiguous sentences or the words that we use into real life. And we come to the gentleman whom I have shown here, with whom Professor Sufyan Beg had the privilege to work, Professor Lutfi Zadeh. Sir, he also expired in the year 2020, the year in which Maryam Mirza Khani expired. We were discussing the eminence of Maryam Mirza Khani, an Iranian lady who was so brilliant a lady and a mathematician who could get the Fields Medal in the year 2014. Year 14, she and Manjul Bhargava, both of them got the Fields Medal together, but they did not share. They were independently awarded. And 5 years before 14, nobody had got the Fields Medal. Nobody could qualify. But Maryam, and she was a professor at Stanford, professor of mathematics. She expired in 20. We really regret that loss. And the best of the obituary about Maryam came from Manjul Bhargava himself in Times of India. Now, this gentleman was a very generous man. He kept working at the age of, up to the age of 95 at the University of California, Berkeley. And he defined, he said that now we have everything to represent mathematically. Unless we make a model, the human behavior, the human intelligence can never be realized, and we cannot do engineering with the human expressions. So he said that, okay, if today is sunny, we can say that it is 100% sunny if there are no clouds at all for the entire day. And if it rains whole day, we will say that the statement today is sunny has 0 value. So he distributed the extent to which a given sentence is true or false, and then he gave a percentage to that. Now, the example that he gave of a bulb glows at the voltage of 220 could be expressed in this format, which can be read as the bulb glows around the voltage of 220. So now this trapezoid represents the concept of Lutfizadeh, which says that the bulb glows when supply voltage is around 220 volt. Now, how can we represent around? He said that you either go by a pi curve, a Gaussian distribution, or a triangular distribution. I mean, how quickly do you want to come down? It's up to you. So he gave a liberty and leverage for the people to decide how do you connect the phrase around 220 volt. And mathematically, how they will be represented? We will collect the values on the x-axis and y-axis and make a combination. So for example, we say that full glow is represented by 1 and no glow is 0. So the full glow 1 might happen from the voltage of 216 to 224. This is known as the universe of discourse. We can decide into our own concept as to what should be the universe of discourse. For example, I'm coming from Delhi today. I can say that I have come from a long distance. And immediately you would understand that what exactly do I mean by a long distance. But the professor previously who spoke was speaking from Japan, and you can also say that he has spoken from a very long distance. So in that context also, a human mind would instantly perceive as to what I mean by long into the second sentence, what did I mean in the first sentence. This is human mind. So the long can be defined by a human on a universe of discourse. For me, it is from Aligarh to Delhi. For him, it is from India to Japan. So that is how the things are made. Another example I gave about the temperature and the difference of being warm, hot, very hot, extremely hot. We had made very discrete, but now this is overlapping. So we can say that any temperature which is around 10 volt could be still considered as warm, even if it is higher than 10 or lower than 10. So overlapping. Okay. What I wrote here is, this is more natural and close to human mind reasoning. We don't follow the strict. Well, I also understand that it's already 1 p.m. And no, so my endeavor would be to quickly go through it and come down to the nutrosophic logic, because this is what everybody knew, I mean, how the fuzzy logic came and how it has worked into our lives. So around, approximately, more or less, slightly, very, extremely, these are all the human phrases which have been mathematically defined by the fuzzy logic set. And how do we do it? One example I have given is around 220 volt, which is here. The collection of points from the universe of discourse, and the first value is the degree of belongingness to that value. So for 208 volt it was 0, for 220 volt it was 1, and then it has again further decreased from 0.8 like that. Again, how do we do the knowledge inference? And how does the logic theory work for inferencing from the past experience? So if we say that the water is very hot and add plenty of cold water in order to make it moderately hot, this is the rule. A child whom we say that go and increase the speed of the fan by moving the knob into the right direction. So the next day if we ask him to decrease the speed of the fan, he would move it left hand side, and he would infer from the knowledge that was given to him the other day. So that is how the inference works, and the fuzzy relations work on those inferences, and they have been all brought into the mathematical terms. Now let me, fuzzy relations, you know, when the control system came, the relations were very important to that, and very few people accepted the concept of fuzzy logic because they said that the probability theory is more than sufficient to describe the ambiguity in our life. They were not accepting. The transactions on fuzzy systems came quite late, as late as in 90s, and the people and Lutfi Zadeh and others, they were forced to publish their papers into the transactions on neural networks. But then it was accepted solely. Only when Mamdani, Professor Ibrahim Mamdani, who is again an Indian, belongs to Pune, he was the first person to give an application-oriented example. So I'm just skipping. I have tried to give some examples of inferences, but it was only after Ibrahim Mamdani used the fuzzy logic into the control system, and his application was used into the cement kiln industry, that people accepted that rather than using the other control mechanisms, we can use the fuzzy logic theory as well. He visited India in the early 2000, and there was a lecture by him in the Dalton Hall of IET, sir, if you remember. It was only at that time when we got to know that he's an Indian. At the Queen's College, London, he was a professor. I'm not very sure whether Ibrahim Mamdani is still there or not, but we really cherish those memories of the people who have been really great into the area of computer sciences. Okay, so here I write, the first industrial application of fuzzy logic was put by Mamdani, Ibrahim Mamdani. So even today, there are only two control models of fuzzy logic. One is known as Ibrahim Mamdani model, and the other is known as Takagi Sugeno model. So all control system engineering who use intelligent techniques, they have been using either of these two models. Mostly the Ibrahim Mamdani model has been popular. It found further popularity when a microprocessor-based fuzzy logic controller was created in Japan. Here, the Yamazaki, Sugeno, and Yamakawa, they were responsible for this. In the year 2011, there was a conference, Fuzz IEEE. It's a very important conference and held every year across the world. 2011, it was held in Hyderabad. All people working in this field, including the professor from Indian Statistical Institute, so he was the chair of that conference, and so it was held in India. They would gather together and would discuss and describe about the, so Jager was also present to that conference. So for those who were not really very enthusiastic to accept the fuzzy theory, and they would rather say that the probability theory is more than sufficient. There is a comparison here. I would leave this lecture for my students to get some benefit from it, but I'm not going to describe all this for the paucity of time. But these are very good examples to establish the veracity of the fuzzy logic and the intelligent techniques that we have been using into our life. Well, let me come to where, see, fuzzy system is used for imprecise situations where there are no definite mathematical models available. And if you want to work upon the experiences of the operators working into the industry, fuzzy system is most handy. Then for learning and inferencing, we use the neural networks. For any uncertain situation, we use the probabilistic reasoning. And for optimization, it is the evolutionary computation and computing. And most of the friends have been working into the area of evolutionary computing. Machine intelligence that we have been so much fascinated always has got so many areas, all inclusive. So one can't say that I work into this area and yet I know machine intelligence. These are several areas which are almost overlapping, and one who knows one, they know the other as well. But my focus here, the soft computing on the left. So in next 10 minutes, I would describe all this and would try to finish. Soft computing, in which I started with the fuzzy logic, and then I talked about the intuitionistic fuzzy logic in my inaugural session, then rough set theory, vague set, fuzzy type 2, and the last one, the neurosophic logic, where we are today. Rest I leave to you. Okay, so Lutfizadeh said, can we do computation with words? We have been doing computation with numbers. Can we do computation with words? Theory of formation, granulation, computational theory of perception. This was all that he talked about. So the numeric data is 5. About 5 is also a number. 5 to 6 is a number. About 5 to 6. I mean, this is yet another ambiguity. About 5. He said, oh, this is all data, and we can work with. Now, the linguistic data that he calls is something being cheap is a data. Very big, not high, medium, or bad. You know, functions, fx we have been working with, but about fx, fairly similar to fx, much greater than fx, and he said that we can do computations with all these words into our lives. I would escape this thing. The fuzzy logic toolbox, we are much conversant with, and we have been using it. In finance. Okay. Now, let me briefly tell you about that intuitionistic fuzzy logic. Probably I'm missing those slides here about which I was trying to speak. See, in fuzzy logic, we have that something which belongs to a given set has some value, and not belonging to that set has a 0 value. So the concept of 0 and 1, as it was given into the discrete logic, was almost there into the fuzzy logic as well. But then the intuitionistic fuzzy logic, which was described by Krasimir Atanasov in Bulgaria, and you remember, friends, that still he has not been able to get acceptance from the people, those who are working into the fuzzy logic area. Fuzzy logic could not get acceptance from the probability theory. Now it is the time for the intuitionistic scientists to get acceptance from the fuzzy theory. And they say that you can't simply say that there are 2 types of sets available. Suppose there is an election in which there are people who vote for party X, and then there are people who vote for party Y. But then there are many people who do not vote for any party at all. So how do we consider that group so that it becomes a larger group and we can describe that this is the entire set that is available to us? Then the rough set theory, which was described by Bohrer, professor at IIT Delhi, Professor Biswas, who works into the rough set theory. And we worked together for some time into the rough set theory as well. And he says that the description of any given set can be given in the form of approximation. So, for example, there is a cloud. So, how do we define that? What is the boundary of a given cloud? So, he says that the lower approximation and upper approximation. So, if we define two approximations, we can capture the existence of a cloud, lower and upper approximations. So, on that concept, the rough set theory worked, and people have been working into that area, and still the people are there. The last concept that I would like to describe, the nutrosophic logic 1, in which Professor Florentine, who is still in America, has been working, and he said that there is no mechanism to capture the so-called in truthfulness, there is something which is absolute truth, and there are certain things which are known as relative truth. For example, the sun rises in the east is a 100% truth, and it is known as absolute truth. Though we can say that there is only one creator of the world, absolute truth. But can we make a distinction between absolute truth and relative truth? And then in the life there are certain paradoxes. For example, in the Schrödinger cat theory, we remember that when it was described to us into the 12th standard, that the quantum particle can be present at two different places at the same time. Now, a particle being present at place X and the same particle being present at place Y, the degree of belongingness of the same particle at two different places is 1. So, just one cannot define the presence of such paradoxes. This is a scientific example. Now, there was one philosopher in the Crete island, which is very close to Greece. What he said once, all Cretans are liars. And you remember the philosophers are like that only. The people from that island, they came after his life and said, how dare you say that all Cretans are liars? And here is logic. He said, yes, all Cretans are liars, and I'm also a Crete, and therefore I'm also a liar, and so whatever I say is a lie. And therefore you are not liars. You understand the point? So his statement is true and false at the same time. Could there be a mathematical model to describe such paradoxes of life? And therefore, the people say that now we don't stop at 0 and 1. If there is an absolute truth, we will say 1 plus. And if it is an absolute falsehood, it should be 0 minus. So now the difference is that we don't remain between zeros and ones, but there has to be 0 minus, 1 plus. So the total could be 0, 1, 1 plus. So the domain has been increased, and there is a definite mathematics to represent all these ambiguities. So the real intelligence that would come into our lives if we are also able to find the mathematical models to such kind of paradoxes and the ambiguities of our life. And that is where the nutrosophic logic works, and Professor Florentine has been encouraging everyone to work into that area. There is no MATLAB tool is still available for nutrosophic logic. We have stopped at fuzzy logic, not even intuitionistic. But the students who are really good, they have been doing programming in MATLAB to create their own programs. So one of my research scholars worked into the nutrosophic neural networks. So the neural network which used to work on the discrete mathematics is now has been working on the classical nutrosophic logic as well. Friends, here I would like to stop. I have just given you a glimpse of what I wanted to say. And I would also invite my students to write to such people, because they are real good friends of any researcher who comes forward. Why should only one professor go and work with these people? All of you can be a friend of those researchers and get into the league of those young people who are making a group. Nowadays, the researches have been happening in the group. The last lecture we saw, he has a group to work with. An individual cannot do such vast applications of any area. So you become a part of a group, involve yourself, devote your time, be spiritual, think positive, and live a great life. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please ask. I would be happy to answer a few of them. Okay.
Do we have any questions from the audience, please?
Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I heartily thank all our keynote speakers for sharing plethora of knowledge and their experiences with us. Now, I feel honored to welcome Professor Mirza Salim Beg for his presidential remark.
Thank you to both the speakers, Professor Qayyum Ansari and the professor from Japan. I wasn't expecting to give an address. I was just told to chair the session, and I have made absolutely no plans of saying anything. But the fact that it's part of the program now, I'll just try and make a few insertions here and there, if you like. To start with, Professor Kuribayashi's talk from Okayama University, I think it's a great opportunity for the students to take up tasks, maybe, if possible, because he does have a program in collaboration with Catalonia University, Spain, and Warsaw University in Poland. And Adam Malik or someone, I forget the name, he is already working in collaboration with him. So maybe with the help of our dynamic chairperson, you could try and get into this. He appeared to be reasonably receptive, the Japanese professor, and with the help of people like Qayyum Ansari Saab and others, and Ubaidullah Bukhari Saab as well, you could end up writing an email. I'm sure Swala Zubair Madam would give email addresses to the student, and that will be a real positive outcome of this conference, that you can build up some kind of collaboration as an extension of Adam Malik's work, which is already in progress. With that said, he spoke about quite a few things. I don't think I'll be doing justice to any of his presentation details if I try and summarize it. He really spoke about a lot of things, but some of the website that he mentioned could be of interest to you. He gave this website address, contentauthenticity.org, which is something we can explore before we send an email to him. That, I think, would be something as a good and useful takeaway from this talk. Now, very quickly, we are all pressed for time, as hinted by our chairman साहब की अब questions का time नहीं है शायद. So we'll try and wind it up as soon as possible. Qayyum Saab mentioned about Boole's logic and all those basics that we've all studied in our first year, second year, BCA, MCA, or BSc engineering courses. And that is what really gave rise to computers. You all know that. He also mentioned about Shannon. Now, computer science students may not have heard about Shannon, but we engineers place him at the topmost pedestal.
He is the father of communications. He's father of communications. Interestingly, how old do you think communication is? Any of the student would like to answer the question? How old is this field of I'm talking about telecommunications. Andazan kitne saal purana hoga? And by the way, Claude Shannon mostly worked at Bell Labs and MIT in 30s and 40s. His seminal paper came in 1948 from Bell Labs. It was called The Mathematical Theory of Communication. So before Shannon gave all this theory, there was no theory of communications. So he is proudly called father of communications. I think he passed away in about 2003 or so about 20 years back. And but communications as a field of engineering, it existed long before Shannon came. It started with telephony in 1875, and before that telegraphy given by Samuel Morse in 1838. But the theory of communications could only be given about 100 years later. So that is how brilliant he was. And one of his degrees was in mechanical engineering. Shannon's one degree was in mechanical engineering, where he used to play with gears and stuff like that, motion, kinematics, and so on. But he was so good that he came up with things like game theory. He came up with things like cryptography and all the basis of secure communication and so on. And of course, information theory. Briefly, Qayyum Sahib mentioned about, he didn't mention about information theory, but he did mention about probabilistic issues, about information being partly correct and so on. Let me just very quickly, bear with me, you know, things like, he was mentioning about something far east or something, and where the sun really rises in the east. There's a similar thought if you say that the sun will rise tomorrow. Now, the so-called information theory, which is the basis of all telecommunications, it says that there is no information in this, because the probability of sun rising tomorrow is 1. Entropy is 0 because it's virtually, the probability is 1, so entropy is virtually absent. So Shannon is some person whom I couldn't resist talking about. And another thing which was coming to my mind is that computer science students, MCA, BC and all, they're probably not, although they have started a course on MSc in cybersecurity and digital forensics, but maybe a additional course on multimedia technology and applications, wherein you could really learn about issues of compression in detail, both lossy and lossless, applied to not only text but images, graphics, audio and video, could be equally interesting from point of view of engineers, to say the least. Someone mentioned, I think it was Qayyum Saab, who was talking about Iranians, and somebody from King's College London. I visited that place. It's full of Iranis. They have a real hold and doing very well in electronics and communication also. So I think, to cut a long story short, we've had a good session in the morning, and we must thank both the speakers. इस वक्त फूल वगैरह तो नहीं बचे हैं कुछ, मगर शुक्रिया के साथ आपका भी और जापानीज साहब का, ताकि वो उर्दू समझ में ना आए उनके. But I think both the talks were equally good. We would love to collaborate with Qayyum Saab as well as with the Japanese professor. And with those few words, I'll take your permission to thank our other persons on dais, Professor Bukhari Saab and Dr. Sohalia Zubair and the young lady over there. Thank you all very much for your patience. Let's go for a break. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Last but not the least, as we come to an end of today's plenary session, I would like to invite Dr. Sohalia Zubair to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Marisha. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the organizing committee, I take this opportunity to thank the august audience, invited speakers, delegates, and patrons for the resounding success of the conference, as well as the present scientific session. At the outset, I would like to thank Professor Mirza Salim Beg, an eminent technologist and scientist of international repute, for presiding over this academic session. I am also thankful to the renowned scientist, Professor Minru Kurbayashi, for acceding to our request and delivering a talk on such an interesting topic. The proliferation of yellow journalism or fake news and the way it is spreading, especially on social media, has become a big concern because of its devastating effect. This certainly needs some corrective measures. The ML-based watermark model, as well as forensic tools discussed by Professor Kurbayashi in the present talk, could be quite helpful in checking the manipulation in the reported content, and can surely offer the effective remedy to cure the repercussions of fake news. I am also highly obliged to our distinguished speaker, Professor Abdul Qayyum Ansari, an ardent educator and fervent researcher of international repute. Professor is a treasure trove of artificial intelligence field, especially fuzzy logic. Sir, we are really thankful that you yielded to our request and spare valuable time to grace this occasion by delivering a talk on neurosophic logic, a paradigm shift logic theory. Indeed, it's an emerging research topic and has great relevance to the current scenario. Sir, you enlightened us with the insight of logic theory for its impact on culmination of AI. The successful culmination of this conclave was made possible because of the innovative, thoughtful, and futuristic vision of my revered teacher and the convener of the conference, Professor Asim Zafar. His altruistic demeanors and unconditional support were the backbone of the whole event. My earnest thanks to Professor Muhammad Ubaidullah Bukhari, a senior faculty member from the Department of Computer Science, for the welcome address. I'm sure this session has benefited all of you, especially the budding researcher, in several ways. With this, I once again extend my heartfelt gratitude to all for your unconditional support and cooperation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, ladies and gentlemen, this plenary session comes to an end. Thank you for your presence. Now, we will have a break, and after the break, we shall assemble at the Department of Computer Science for the technical session of day 1 as per the schedule. Thank you.